back discussing economics today. As such, I have my economic attire on. The other day, we discussed Donald Trump's tariffs and tariffs in general, simply looking at the historic and economical implications of tariffs. And it is pretty clear that the tariffs have somewhat of a downward effect on the stock market. Now, this is not so much of a video about the tariffs. It's more of a conspiracy theory on what's happening with the stock market and the tariffs. So what is happening with the tariffs? Now, Donald Trump is a very prominent businessman, knows a lot about economics, to put it lightly. So I'm sure he has some idea that he knows what he's doing. He's also been elected the President of the United States. Very high, respectable position. So he's going to have some clue of what he's doing. Now, why, if he knows that the tariffs are going to crash the stock market, why would he do it? Well, what if he was doing it on purpose? Now you might ask, why would the President of the United States purposely crash the stock market? Well, there's very good reasons. What has been the number one problem of the United States for the past 50 years? Well, if you would say the national debt, that would be correct. The national debt has been a very interesting, very complicated, very taxing concern for United States history for the past 50 years, because every time you're not paying the debt, the interest on the debt increases to a point where you know you're not going to pay the debt off. And this is a problem because if you owe somebody money and you just say, I'm not paying you that money back, buddy, well, then that's going to start a conflict and most likely we'll start World War III as we know it. So we have to pay off the national debt. Just assuming the debt and canceling the debt, that's not an option. So what is the conspiracy theory? The conspiracy theory is Donald Trump could be purposely tanking the stock market to cause hyperinflation, therefore making it easier to pay off the debt. Now, what do I mean by this? Donald Trump, again, as we said, knows what he's doing. So what he could be doing is he could be purposely crashing the stock market with his tariffs. Now, what happens when you crash the stock market? Well, the cost of everyday living goes up. And what is that called? That's called inflation. What is inflation? Inflation is making the American dollar cost less than previous value or whatever you're making it compared to. When the American dollar has less value, you can make more of it. You have to make more of it to make up for the lost value. And you have something such as the national debt, which does not take interest into consideration. It is simply pre-existing debt, which means your American dollar does not have association with the debt. So you can print more and more money, which would happen if interest went up, and then you could pay the debt. So let's go over that real quick. Donald Trump could be purposely tanking the stock market to cause interest, making it easier for the U.S. government to print more money and pay back the national debt. Now, the problem with this theory is that this would leave the United States of America in an economic shambles. It would be very bad. You would still be left with the incredible inflation that was caused from the crash of the stock market. Now, could he do this? I mean, he could. I mean, there's no reason he's not going to be running for another third term. It is very possible he could do this to add on top of the fact that he would be one of the highest wealthy elites of the period, and he would be safe from this hyperinflation because he owns assets. The only way to be safe from hyperinflation is to own material assets that you could sell, because the material assets gain value, they don't lose value. The only thing that lose value is the dollar. Land, vehicles, and stuff like that, they don't lose value because they're material. They're the only thing that hold value in a hyperinflation economy. So Donald Trump, all the top people that would be advisories and stuff like that, the aristocrats of society so much would be perfectly fine. This hyperinflation would most likely not affect them at all. If anything, the hyperinflation would affect them. So the government, Donald Trump, whatever you want to say, they could be very plausible that this could happen. Now, what would be the most likely conspiracy theory? Well, it would be the first part. The first part is just a conspiracy theory by itself. Donald Trump could do the first part and not do anything else that I'm about to mention, and it would still be interesting. Now, the second part is most likely more plausible. So Donald Trump does the first part, right? He pays off the national debt through hyperinflation. Now, you have hyperinflation, and the American economic system is in complete shambles. How do you come back from that? Well, what is the United States sitting on? And if you said gold, well, you would be correct. The United States has not had a gold reevaluation since 1973 or 74 or something like that. And the gold ounce right now is sitting, gold pound right now is sitting about like $43 a pound, which is like 300% under the actual value. The actual value is like $2,300 or something like that. So if the United States was to reevaluate the gold, then they would have to go back on top. They would have to fall back into the gold standard. They could reevaluate gold, and this would prop up their GDP and would stop the hyperinflation. And then not only would they be able to do this, but the United States being one of the leading GDPs of the world, when they reevaluate their gold, they would also reevaluate the world's gold. So it's almost like a domino effect. The United States reevaluates their gold, and then the world gold reevaluates itself, and then the United States does it again, and then the world gold reevaluates itself again, and then the United States reevaluates its gold again. So it's just like a domino effect on top of another. So you have the United States gold, United States gold, United States gold, and they can just do this for infinity until they catch up to the actual gold price, and this would more than likely prop back up the GDP and stop hyperinflation. So is Donald Trump purposely crashing the stock market? I don't know. That's for you to decide. There are signs that point to it. Does he know what he's doing with the tariffs? So most likely he's a businessman. He built his wealth from business and economics and stuff like that. So I'm sure he has some idea on what he's doing. This is very plausible. I would say the first half, if he was going to do the first half, I would also say he would probably do the second half. But then again, he could do either one and not the other. This was basically, you got a 2-in-1 here, 2 conspiracy theories in one. I would say this would be a very highly likely conspiracy to come through. You know, some conspiracy theories are kind of like iffy and stuff like that, kind of far stretching. I would not say this is any far stretch of the imagination. I could see this happening in the next 4 years. It makes total sense. It is economically viable, and it honestly, if he did one of these, it would go down as one of the greatest economical ploys of the past century, the past decade, past century, even past millennium. I mean, might be able to go down as one of the greatest economic ploys of presidential history. Again, this video is not political. I'm just saying this would be a very risky, gutsy move by the current president of the United States. Might pay off, might not. I don't know. That's about it. Stay safe and stay hydrated.